All right, let's talk about getting started with LGD consulting. So keep in mind that we do not provide the required hours or course that some states do require. This is just exam prep to help you pass your exam. All right. If you do have questions, reach out when you're on the website. Just click to contact us, and you can email me any questions right away. And I do respond pretty quickly as best as I can. I do check my email periodically throughout the day. Okay. So, studying. I know you probably don't like it. This is a whole new world, kind of a whole new language for a lot of you, but it's worth it. It is worth the struggle. My recommendation: hunker down, focus, and knock this thing out. All right, and be done with it. Once you get this license, you have unlimited income potential. The continuing education is relatively simple. It's actually an online open book exam for most of you. Some of you, you can sign up for some local courses, sit in a classroom or a webinar, and get a couple hours for free to count to your count towards your continuing education. So it is worth it. But again, find some time to focus, study, and knock it out. Okay. I'm going to teach you an easier way to study. Most of you probably are set in kind of how you study. Usually when you're preparing for an exam, you want to test yourself. And I'm going to suggest that you do not. Okay? When you test yourself, you read the question, you read all the answers, you think about it, and then you pick what you think is the right answer. Right? You do that with the rest of the exam, because you're testing yourself. At the end, you grade it. Now, when you grade it, you realize you got one wrong. The problem is the next time you see that question, you'll typically pick the same wrong answer because in your mind you were right when you picked it. And you'll fight tooth and nail that you're right even though you're wrong. So I really don't want you holding on to wrong answers. So I'm going to teach you a different way. So be open, be coachable. That's all I'm asking. To get started, go ahead and schedule your exam. Set it about 2 to 3 weeks out, no later than that. This is all short-term memory, so you want to hunker down, focus, and knock it out. The longer you wait to take this test, the more you actually forget and retain. Right? So how to study, follow the steps. Step 1, watch a webinar. Step 2, go through the sample test questions. Step 3, review the playbook and some of the charts I have. Step 4, you can attend a live class or webinar. Right now, the live classes are on hold with COVID-19, but I do have a webinar. Usually every week I'll have at least one. Right. Step 5, go take and pass your exam. Right. This is doable, and you got to trust yourself. Right. So let's start with step 1. Watch a pre-recorded webinar. I do have a pre-recorded webinar that goes through kind of the whole package of concepts. In some cases, it's about 2.5 hours long on one of them to give you a good overview of the material. Right. I talk in a way that will be familiar to you when you take your exam. So here and there, I use terminology or I express something a certain way. So when you take the test, it'll be familiar to you. All right. Get used to the terminology. Yes, you're learning a lot of stuff that in the real world you probably won't use, but you got to get it down to pass this test. And if you need more insight in certain sections, I do have specialized webinars on specific topics to give you more insight. And if that's not enough, like I said, reach out, give me a holler, okay? Again, in studying the sample test questions, I don't want you testing yourself. That's why my questions, the answer is already highlighted. So you want to read the question, and then you want to read the right answer. And then make an association. When you see this question, this is what you want to look for. And then you want to read the right answer and then read the question. The reason I want you to kind of do that is make the association. Because my question, this is the question, this is the answer. And then when you take the test, they flip-flop it. The answer is now the question's now the answer. And so get that relationship down. All right. You want to study the online playbook. Right? Now, as much as you want a shortcut, you do want to go through the playbook. This would be your basically an online flashcard set. Right? Learn the language, learn the terminology. Right? There's some concepts, and I also have some charts to help you understand the different coverages, the different policies, right, and what they include. So make sure you are thorough with your studying. Step 4, jump into a live webinar. I do have at least one every week. All right, so just check the upcoming training. Just click on the upcoming training tab on the website, and just see when the next one is, and just at the allotted time, just jump on in. Right, they're usually held at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. Just so you know, for you people on the East Coast, it's probably 8:30 your time. And I might have some on the weekends here and there, so just keep an eye out for it. All right. But again, I always leave room for Q&A at the end. So if you do have questions, if you need more clarification, I make myself available, and we can dive into that after the webinar is completed. Okay. And then go take and pass your test. All right. Now, when you take your test, breathe. It's just a test. It's not the end of the world. If you pass multiple tests during your lifetime, this is just one more. Stick with your initial instinct. If it sounded familiar, go with it. All right. Just read the questions carefully. They do have the double negatives. All of the following are incorrect except. All right. Which of the following is not unlawful? And so a lot of this, the exam is, are they looking, are they asking for the right answer, or are they looking for the wrong answer? So make sure you're reading the question correctly. Don't park on a question. Now, what that means is you're sitting there reading that question 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and you're reading all the answers too. And when you're parking on that, you get in this stress buildup. So my recommendation is just pick your best guess and log it in. All right. Write that question number down on the scratch sheet of paper. All right. If they don't give it to you, you can raise your hand and request it. They should be able to give it to you. They will collect it at the end of the test. You can't take it out of the exam. Okay. But write that question number down and just move on. Now, when I say move on, that means move on. Okay. That means don't go into the next question still pondering the last question, because then you're not present to the new question, and you misread it, and then you have this domino effect of possibly failing the exam. So be wary of that. Be present to the question that you're working on. Don't think back. Right? Take the questions at face value. As much as you want to read more into things, don't. All right. An example is for personal auto insurance. The territory limits as it covers you in the U.S. and Canada. All right. And so you'll get a test question that says your personal auto policy provides coverage which of the following, or how much coverage does your personal auto policy provide coverage in Mexico? That was a weird way of saying it. And you want to put it doesn't cover you, okay? Because it doesn't. So, but you can get an endorsement where it could cover you for up to 25 miles into Mexico from the U.S. border. Okay, but if the question didn't say you bought the endorsement, don't assume it's included. Okay, and say that your policy can cover you up to 25 miles in Mexico. Okay, it doesn't. All right, so watch out. So there's one question that says, how far does your auto policy cover you in Mexico? It doesn't. Now, there's another question that says if someone purchases the Mexico coverage endorsement, how far will it provide coverage in Mexico? And that's the 25 miles from the U.S. border. See, so don't read too much into it. Okay, this test kind of encourages you to kind of lead you to picking a wrong answer. So be wary of that. The double negatives already talked about. All of the following are incorrect except. All right, so read the questions carefully. Be confident. Now, to be confident, you've gone through my exams at least 2 to 3 times each. All right. Don't think you can just do 1 or 2 of my exams and take and pass the test. Right? You're shortcutting, and you don't. You want to be thorough. Right? So, get that down. So that way, because a lot of my questions look very similar to what you'll see on your tests, and the confidence is there when you read the question. Your mind already is knowing what the answer is to that question. Right? And this last item here is you got to trust yourself. You got to trust that you put in the time to study for this exam. Right? This is the start to a whole new career for you, for most of you, and you got to trust yourself in passing the test and putting in the time and energy to study. Okay. Now, for those of you that are in different states, I'm based in California, but I do incorporate a lot of material from other states. The areas you need to look out for if you're taking the property and casualty and the adjuster's exam. For personal auto liability, each state has different minimum liability limits. And so make sure you study your state's guidelines on that. For workers' compensation, the questions you're going to get is how it can be purchased. Is it through a private insurance company? Is it through a state fund? Can you self-insure or self-fund? Right? Or is a variation of any of the or all of those? Okay. Or are you in one state that really doesn't require workers' comp? So get to know your state specifics there. The regulating authority. Now, Department of Insurance is state regulated, right? So every state has their own Department of Insurance. Every state has a superintendent, director, or commissioner that oversees the Department of Insurance. So you need to know the title of the regulating authority in your state. Are they a commissioner? Are they superintendent? Are they director? Right? And then you also need to know, are they appointed or elected? Right? So these are some of the questions, and it does vary in some of the states, so be familiar with that. It's not enough to cause you to fail the exam, by the way, but I do want you to be aware of it for your state. So it's not a surprise when you take this the test and like, what? I'm studying commissioner on this material, and then ours it's called a director here or whatever it may be. So be familiar with your state's guidelines on that. All right. I want to say thank you for signing up and jumping into the program. If you do have any questions, like I said, reach out. Either click to contact us or you can email me at info@lgdconsulting.com. So, again, good luck on your test, everybody, and have a great day.